Kill you makes you stronger.
Good song, yeah. That's a great song for me. I'm very excited to be here tonight. Thank you very much for listening to my story. There's a lot of times in our life where we have the opportunity to trust our gut and follow our instincts. And I think the majority of the time we kind of trust it more when it's to the negative, right? Don't do that. You know, you got that little voice in your head, don't do it, don't do it, don't trust that person, don't go on that date, don't eat that donut, don't go that wrong way, right? But sometimes it's the positive. Sometimes it's what do you believe in? What sounds true to you? What is your truth? What do you know like nothing else? What do you know? And I first had a pretty big experience with this 17 years ago when I graduated as a nutritionist. And holistic nutrition is kind of bigger than just nutrition. And a lot of people were like, don't get into it, you know, there's not a lot of coverage, it's a hard thing to get into. And I originally got into it because my dad had a blood disorder, and I thought I could fix him. But when I couldn't fix him, all that negative chatter just kind of shut me down and made me not really want to go into the healing part of it, right? So I took the safe road and did the weight loss fitness thing. And this whole time in the back of my head, I was like, you love this. This is your passion, do it. But I kind of strayed away from it. So 9 years after that point, I had the biggest eye-opener of my life when it comes to trusting your gut. I was living out west. I had gotten out of the shower, and I was itching all over. And after a few days of that, I was like, oh my God, what is going on? Like, why am I itching like this? To my roommate, you know, he writes it off. He's like, you know what? It's just different change of water, right? You're used to Ontario water. It's BC water. And we're like, yeah, it's all that BC bud floating in the water, right? Laughed it off, not really thinking anything of it. I get home back to Ontario a few months later, same thing happens. But it wasn't until I was actually a month later, I wake up, having a pee, scratching my thighs, and I notice that I'm doing it. And I'm like, why am I scratching? How long have I been scratching? Have I been doing this for a while? And I started to pay attention to just how I was feeling, kind of checking in myself. And I've been feeling pretty crappy for quite some time. So I go to my doctor and I say, listen, I'm feeling crappy. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't feel myself. I'm exhausted. I don't have any energy when I wake up in the morning. My legs feel heavy. I'm itching sometimes. I don't know what that's all about. Like, can we run some tests? And he's like, well, are you stressed out? And I'm like, well, yes, I am. Aren't we all? And then he's like, well, are you still working 2 jobs? And I'm like, well, yes, thank you, I am. I'm trying to get ahead in life. And he's like, have you had any bad relationships or something? And I'm like, oh my God, you're reading my mind? Yes, okay, fine. And he's like, it's probably nothing, but we'll run some basic blood work. So I don't hear anything, like everybody else. I don't hear anything, right, from my blood work. And I figure everything's fine, except it's not fine because I know it's not fine, and I don't feel well. I don't feel myself, and I don't recognize how this body of mine is feeling. So after a little while longer, now this itch of mine is waking me up in the middle of the night. I am exhausted. I'm falling asleep at work. My work brother, I call him, who's like facing my desk, is like hammering on the desk. Hey, what are you out partying last night? Like, wake up, you got work to do. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what's happening with me. So over the next 3 years, I go back and forth to the doctor, begging him to help me. It starts with him saying, well, you're almost 30 now. Like, that's a phrase you expect to your great-grandmother to say, you know, well, you're almost 90 now, Grandma. It's hard to get up the steps, right? I'm like, okay, I'm almost 30, but like, I'm a young 30. I'm like whooping it up 30. I'm not like getting up in the middle of the night trying to change kids' diapers and driving them to soccer. Like, I have a pretty good life. Like, I'm not supposed to be that tired. So it starts with that. It ends up with, you know, it progresses with me going for allergy testing. I know it's not allergy testing. And in the meantime, I'm doing my due diligence on my own part. I've cut out wheat. I've cut out gluten. I'm detoxing. I'm like, you name it, I'm doing it. I'm acupuncture. I'm body talk. I'm everything. And I'm trying to get to the bottom of what's going on. And the whole while, he's saying to me, it's in my head. So after 3 psychiatrists, he persuades me into going on to antidepressants. I don't want to. I've turned them down the first few times, but he tells me a side effect is that it's going to control my itching. So I get to a point, now you need to understand, not like that, ew, stop it, I don't know what we're laughing about. Okay, so you have to understand my itching. It's now waking me up at least every hour during the night. I have opened wounds on my arms and my legs. The itching feels like it's coming on the outside and on the inside. It feels like I have ants crawling all over me almost all the time. I'm taking B12 shots weekly, sometimes bi-weekly. I have spoken to my boss, who now sees me wearing long skirts and long sleeve blouses in the summertime. I had to go to him, begging him to let me have some flex hours, because I've tried every crazy detox. Like, I've even done like the master cleanse. Like, I'm cutting out food completely. I'm like, damn it, if I'm allergic to something, I'm just cutting it all out. I'm just gonna see what happens, right? So I'm like, can I just come into work at noon? And he was great, they were great for me. But after showing him scars all over my, like, open wounds on my arms and legs, I beg him not to fire me, and he says, okay, and I'm like, you know, they're telling me I'm crazy, but I swear to God I'm not crazy. I know there's something wrong with me, like, I get it, but, you know. So my work brother, he's like, hey, slamming on the desk, bang, 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 crazy. You're starting to smell like my grandma's cupboard. I've got like tea tree oil and neem and everything natural, right? It's all smothered all over my body. And I'm like, okay, you know, you're not funny, Oliver, right? I'm just hanging on here, like, leave me alone. So after I'm on the antidepressants and they're not working, so he increases it. And now I am losing my mind, right? Like, I'm cranky. You know, I'm cranky because I don't sleep. Now I'm waking up about every, 9 or 10 minutes. So I haven't slept through the night in well over a year and a half, 2 years. And I have the doctor's office, every time I call in there, like, they don't even answer my calls anymore because they think I'm a hypochondriac, right? And when they do answer, bless you, when they do answer, they're like, yes, Miss Nickl, what can we do for you today? And I'm just like, you know what? Like, you try itching from the inside out. You tell me how good that feels, right? No one listens to me anymore. The poor lady that gives me my B12 shots, if I ever find her in this lifetime again, I'm going to give her a big hug. She's the only one that really listens to me, except for my parents and, like, my close friends. I don't go out anymore, right? Because I'm scratching continuously. People think I have some kind of ick, right? And I'm miserable. So we finally get to a point where I've started to pay for my own testing. He doesn't want to send me. He's just like, there's nothing that warrants you to be tested. This is in your head. Everybody that does test me, as soon as they come in, they just read the file that he's given, and they're just like, oh, stressed out, eh? Stressed out, working a lot. I'm like, okay, I am stressed out because I haven't slept in 2 years. Like, yeah, now I'm getting angry, but I'm not crazy, and you need to find something. So after going through all of this, and trying various things, I say to him, you know what, I've done some researching. I think I have Hodgkin's lymphoma. I'm almost sure of it. I have all the symptoms. I have night sweats now. I have night sweats, and I have the itching, I have the heaviness, I have everything. And he says, if you had Hodgkin's, you'd be dead by now. And I'm like, oh my God. So I go to my best friend and I say what anybody would to their best friend. Well, first I ask my work brother, am I crazy? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, you don't count, forget it. Then I ask my best friend and I'm like, okay, am I crazy? Like, am I losing it? And she's like I don't think so. And I'm like, oh my God, I have lost it. I've started to believe, right, what everyone has told me to be true. 9 months later, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. I have never been so happy to get that diagnosis in my life because I wasn't crazy. So I wanted to share my story with you today because I want you to know that your opinion matters. Your voice matters. What you think matters, what you feel matters, what you believe matters, and you need to advocate for what you believe in. What do you believe in? Do you need to advocate for your job, your health? How about the poor old lady walking down the street? How about the animals? How about the planet? What do you believe? What is your truth? What do you want? I am Tricia Nickl. That is my story, and I hope I challenge you to advocate and to trust your gut. Thank you very much.
Come back